Hi, I'm Ensign Strider with my Batman Arkham Origins review. First things first, if you haven't played the previous two games by Rocksteady Studios, Batman Arkham Asylum or Arkham City, you do not have to have played those to enjoy this. There is a few subtle references here and there, but it is a prequel and it stands alone, so you can pick this up and enjoy it without having played the previous two games. So as I start off all my reviews, I start off with just a quick, what's been happening in the Batman world leading up to the events of this game. So this is a year 2 Batman, and he's been fighting the Falcone and the Maroni crime families for quite a while, and he's dealt them a severe blow. Now that these two crime families can't function as well as they used to, another mob boss has risen up, and this is the Black Mask, Roman Sionis. He's taken over Gotham's criminal underworld. He controls the vice, the prostitution rings, the weapons dealing, all that good stuff. That's what he's in with, and as such, he's accumulated a vast fortune, well over 50 million, because he has put a 50 million bounty on the Batman. He knows that Batman's been hampering his operations, and if he can get rid of the Batman, 50 million is a small price to pay for complete control of Gotham. So yeah, that's what's happening in the lead up to the game. He's hired 8 assassins, and they're all gunning for Batman, and that's where the player comes in. So the main question with this game, because it has been made by a different developer, it's not Rocksteady for this game, it's now Warner Brothers Montreal, I think. Is the game the same as Rocksteady? Pardon me. Now, I've got to admit, I was worried when I found out it wasn't Rocksteady dealing with this game and it was Warner Brothers Montreal, because Rocksteady just did such a perfect job with the first two games. The games were by no means perfect, but they were great Batman experiences. So the new developer, I can only compare it to the games that came before it, Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. So let's dive right in, because Warner Brothers Montreal said they would not touch a damn thing, and they would keep that winning formula that Rocksteady developed and built up from the ground. So the combat, what's the combat like? Most important, this is a Batman game and you do expect to be knocking some heads together. Well, the free flow combat system's back, and I had to re-record this because I struggled saying free. I'm doing it again. I'll carry on. But the combat system's back. It's exactly as you remember it. You can use your gadgets in there, in the quickfire, like the quickfire batarang, and so on and so forth, and the quickfire backclaw, and all the other good stuff that you'll be unlocking through the game. The counters, the stun with the cape, that I've got some pop-up, which I always hate, and it always happens while I'm trying to record. Sorry guys. But all that stuff is in there that you remember from the combat system from the previous game, and they haven't touched it. It works just as well as ever. But I do have a niggle. The camera. In some of the interior locations, not when you're out on the streets of Gotham, but in the interiors, which I'm not going to spoil for you, I'm not going to talk about. But some of the interior locations, the camera struggles to pull back to a distance where you can see your tactical surroundings. It's kind of close to what we're used to, so it's sometimes you're getting hit by a cheap shot by a fast moving enemy that comes out of nowhere, cheap shot from behind, or being shot at from a gun from someone off screen who you can't quite see, which is breaking up your combo meter, and it was annoying me to no end. I've got to admit, it's just sometimes the camera would even jump around, making it very difficult to see what was actually happening on screen. And at one point the camera actually just flicked in a certain direction, which left the boss that I was fighting against, no spoilers, but the boss I was fighting against was completely off screen and I couldn't see them. The only way I could beat this boss was to flail wildly off screen with my arms and legs while screaming. I still won the fight, but in realistically, I should just restart it. Another thing that I didn't like about this game, I'm going to mention it just while it's in my head, is it freezes quite a lot. It crashes, it locks up, however you refer to it. This hasn't happened just to me. I've been watching a bit of Scottish Warrior 92's Let's Play. It's a fantastic Let's Play if you haven't started watching it yet, or if you're waiting to watch it after you've played this game like I did. Definitely go and check it out because it is quite funny, and you know, he experiences some of the problems I experienced as I was playing this. So you know, you'll be able to actually like maybe watch the first hour or so you can get a taste for it, you know, and actually see it in movement, you know, before you decide whether to make a purchase or not. So yeah, that's another thing. There is this glitch where it's not a glitch, it's an outright crash. The game just completely locks up and you can't do anything. You've got to reset your console. If your game is also saving, and this happened to me, this was on New Game Plus. I have finished it from start to end and I'm on New Game Plus now. If your game is saving when it locks up, and this happened to me on the one occasion while I was doing my New Game Plus playthrough, your save file will become corrupted. So if you're playing this game and you see that little saving symbol at the bottom, do not move anywhere, because it seems to be gliding a movement that makes the game crash more than anything. That's not to say it's a frequent occurrence, but this has happened to me. It's happened to Scottish Warrior 92, and I assume it's happened to other people playing this game. But if you stand still, I have noticed that once that little saving circle has disappeared from the corner, you might still get a crash after it, but if you see that saving circle in the corner, it's like down here, I believe, or is it the other corner? Yeah, just do not move. Just wait until it's finished saving, because you will get a save file corruption. And if you're near the end of the game, there's no amount of swear words that I would have used. I would still be swearing now because I was towards the end of the game. I was getting really pumped to see the ending. As with any game, we all do. Yeah, so that's the combat. The detective mode. What did I think of the new detective mode? They announced at E3 this new augmented reality detective mode that they introduced to this game. I fucking love it. Finally, the critiques I had against Arkham Asylum and Arkham City was you didn't feel like the world's greatest detective. You were definitely the Dark Knight. You felt like the Dark Knight. You felt like Batman, but you never felt like the world's greatest detective. And this is what this game nails beautifully. With this new game, new gameplay mechanic, the new detective mode where you reconstruct the crime scene. It's amazing. You know, you patch in your clues, you can fast forward and rewind just to see how things all happen, and when you find more clues you can piece together exactly what happened from the crime scene you're surveying. They even include some side missions where this is the mechanic you use you know, for that mission. You know, generally towards the end there's a bit where you dispense justice to the perpetrator, but the reconstruction of the crime scene I loved. It's finally Batman being the world's greatest detective, which is the only critique I had from the first two games. So, what are the Predator rooms like? You know, I have to talk about the stuff that was in the previous two games and what it's like in this new game, this new prequel. The Predator mode's back, pretty much untouched as it was from Arkham City, using some of the same tips and tricks. Of course, you've got the new gadgetry, but that's neither here nor there. It's you know, it's still exactly as it was in Arkham City, more so than it was in Arkham Asylum. So the gameplay with this new developer is untouched, and you know, it's all good. If I have to critique it in a little, it's hard for me to do because I am a Batman fan and I do like this game. But if I have to critique it a little more, is the storyline isn't as engaging as maybe Arkham Asylum or City. Generally, once you know you've got about halfway through the game, you know the story and you know what's happening. Then it's just essentially just fighting to your final objective, which I did find kind of bit of a letdown, if I'm honest. Don't get me wrong, the story is still very good and engaging. It just loses some steam after maybe about the halfway point, and then it's just a straight up fight to the end with very few surprises along the way. Also, I'd like to talk about the bosses. The bosses aren't as well utilised as I'd thought they may have been. Generally, your bosses are, when you get your combat rooms and there's a few guys around and you fight them, that's cool, just a few henchmen, and you get your predator rooms where, you've got your henchmen and you take them out silently. The boss fights kind of work exactly the same as those, just a bit longer and with a guy who looks a bit different or a girl who looks a bit different from the standard henchmen. I find them very lackluster and not as exciting as they could have been, especially since the Mr. Freeze boss battle from Arkham City was, part of a series highlight from the previous two games. I don't know what they were thinking. Just some of the assassins just straight up fights against multiple numbers, or a straight up one-on-one fight with someone who's just that little bit more agile. And I find just annoying and a bit flat. One of the assassins is actually disposed of instantly, and it's kind of I guess meant to be a joke, but I actually wanted to fight this guy. He looks interesting, and maybe it would have introduced some new gameplay mechanics and like a fun little boss battle, but I tried to figure out how to beat him, but unfortunately he's disposed of within seconds, and then you spend the rest of the game wondering if you're going to face him, and sadly you don't. It's just he gets completely thrown away. They did a complete reimagining, as they do for all villains in the Arkhamverse, and he looked interesting, he looked cool, I wanted to fight him, but it was just disposed of within seconds, and then only just mentioned in passing throughout the rest of the game. What's the music like? The music I loved. It's very Batman-y and very Christmassy at the same time. I was just playing through this, and sometimes you'd hear bells in the background, and it just sounded very Christmassy, but it also felt very Batman. I don't know why, but sometimes whenever I'm watching the original Tim Burton movies, the Batman and Batman Returns, I seem to believe they happen around Christmas, both of them, just because of the snow. I can't actually remember if they are set at Christmas, but I don't know, maybe it's just the sort of vibe that it gives off. But yeah, the music is absolutely amazing. It is by the same guy who did the Injustice Gods Among Us music. That soundtrack was absolutely phenomenal. I love that altogether. The whole thing, instead of making it sound like very Superman, very Batman, very Joker, he made it just sound very superhero. But with this one, he's gunning for Batman, so he made it sound very Batman. I looked up this guy's name, I forgot his name, but this guy is very talented, and I'd like to see him more of his work in other games. I was just about to say something. Yeah, I've always said that the best music, is just something that's there. It enhances the experience. It doesn't dominate it, and this is exactly what the music's like. It ramps up when you're in a fight, and it makes you feel a bit more epic. But you're as you're fighting and doing your thing, but it's not drowning out the action of what's happening on the screen. And when you're just gliding around and exploring Gotham City, it's just adding to it with the whole Christmassy sort of theme and the very Batman-y sort of sound it's got going on. I can't believe I haven't talked about the city actually. The setting, I believe it's South Gotham or Central Gotham or something like that. They were harping on in the before the game came out, saying this is twice as big as Arkham City. I don't see it myself. It's maybe just that little bit bigger, but it isn't, the whole this is twice the size. It's maybe a little bit bigger, but the fact that there's a bridge and quite a large expanse of water in between these two areas, if you're saying that bit, the water, is making it twice the size, sorry, no, that isn't going to float with me, because we can't explore that water. That's out of bounds. You just go in there, use your grappling hook to get away. So I cut it down to just the land masses. It's kind of like an hourglass shape to me. That's what I was getting anyway, with the whole bridge thing in the middle. But there's an expanse of water, and it's just it's not twice as big as Arkham City. The design of the city though is amazing. I actually really enjoyed it. It's very gothic, very Batman, very Gotham City. It's exactly what you'd expect Gotham City to look like. Unfortunately, the rooftops seem to be a little cluttered, which made using your grapnel boost and gliding, it made it like a little bit trickier to travel around and traverse the map. But once you figure out there is a trick to try and release your grapnel boost before you've got to rooftop level and try to stay mid-level, you'll actually find yourself traversing through the city a lot faster. This game does introduce a fast travel system, and the map isn't big enough to warrant it, but I can understand why it's there to move from point A to, say point A is the far southern tip of the map and point B is the far north, then yeah, it's useful. But other than that, the area is small enough to move around without using the fast travel system. In fact, it might be a little faster than using the fast travel system because, as I was saying, the maps aren't that big, but the fast travel is just a well-disguised loading screen. Of course, that's what a fast travel is. It has to load the area you're going to, but if you're going from point A to point B and it's literally one district, you aren't going to use that because the map is quite small. Have I missed anything? I have a real bad itch there which is distracting me. Have I missed anything just while I'm itching my arm? Talked about the camera issues, the bugs, the crashing glitch that I experienced, the boss fights not being as great as they could be, the music being fantastic. Graphically, it looks exactly the same as Batman Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. The previous two games, I'm just going to start saying the previous two games, because graphically, yeah, it's up there. I'm going to admit it's up there with Arkham City, Arkham Asylum. Using the same engine you would expect it to. This runs on the Unreal Engine, by the way. Some people don't like the way the Unreal Engine looks because generally people's bodies are a bit bulkier and a bit heavier with the small heads. But I think the engine looks amazing in this game because Batman. This itch is moving. It's like I've got bloody fleas or something. Lost my train of thought. Where was I going? Yeah, the bodies can sometimes look a little bit out of proportion. Batman looks great with the new bigger armor. I mean, this is an earlier Batman, so he does use bigger armor. I think the proportions look great for the characters myself. But some people don't like the way it looks. They seem to think the bodies look out of proportion. The voice acting. I didn't mention the voice acting. I always forget something. The new Batman. Yet again, I looked up his name, but I forgot it. I'm terrible with names. But the new Batman, he's a bit hit and miss, if I'm honest. He does seem to come from the Christian Bale, gravelly voiced Batman school. With when he's talking to villains in particular, I'm Batman. It's quite funnier because earlier on in the games he does say "Where is he?" quite a lot. So, I was giggling every time that happened. But when he's talking to an ally or such as Alfred, he does pull it back a bit and his voice is softer. And I appreciated that was there as well. There is the soft and the heavy, but considering they're dealing with villains most of the game, it is the "I'm Batman" voice that you're getting quite a lot. It's not as jarring as Christian Bale's is. And it doesn't make the game any less enjoyable for the voice, and the voice is it's a serviceable Batman voice in my opinion. It's not distracting to the point where it's just like I hate this game because of the voice. I would have preferred Kevin Conroy, but you can't always get what you want. I believe Kevin Conroy actually said he would have done Batman's voice if they'd had asked, but alas, they didn't go that route. And the new Joker's voice, Troy Baker. I'm going to remember his name because he's in every game ever. He's in The Last of Us. He's Saints Row Male Voice 1, as his Nolan North became an option, Saints Row 4. But he was in Saints Row 1, 2, 3 and 4, I think was Troy Baker. He's like in every game this year. I believe he's also in Metal Gear Solid this year as well, playing the young Ocelot. That's next year, but yeah, I think he's playing the young Ocelot, is Troy Baker, and he's the new Joker in this. And no one will ever replace Mark Hamill. For many people, he is the Joker. Like for many people, Jack Nicholson is the Joker, and for the newer generation, Heath Ledger is the Joker. Personally, on screen, in film, I think Heath Ledger is the best Joker of the lot. But if you were to say, out of any media, who's my favourite Joker, it would definitely be Mark Hamill. Now, Troy Baker does a stand-up job of doing the Joker. He kind of mimics Mark Hamill's work, but he adds his own twist in there as well, which is to give this kind of like a noble, almost like aristocratic feel to the Joker's voice. It's kind of like there, just in the background, just a little bit, only if you're really listening to it. Like I was, because I knew I was going to be reviewing this game. So I was really listening. I was like, I'm going to have to scrutinise this guy and just see how well he does as a Joker. And he does a great job. It's not up there with Hamill. The voice sometimes just does slip a little, but it's barely noticeable. Unless you're like proper listening to it and studying it, then you won't notice it. So he did a bang up job with the Joker. Anything else? I always forget something, which is why I'm thinking clearly on and that thing is ticking and annoying me. I'm just like trying to really scrutinise. Have I missed anything out? No, for the first time in a review, I think I've absolutely covered everything. I know that I'm going to stop the review and just think, damn it, I meant to mention the flies or whatever. No, I think I've touched on absolutely everything. This game isn't as long as the other two games. At least it felt shorter to me. With Arkham City's insane amount of collectibles, and the Riddler challenges and such like that in Arkham City, that game just seemed immense and really long. Arkham Asylum wasn't as long as City, obviously, because it was the first game, but there was still all the collectibles and the backtracking sometimes through certain areas to lengthen the game out. In fact, Arkham City, I think, also pulled that trick as well, where you sometimes have to backtrack through an area again, but take a different route with a different gadget. This game never does that. I will give it its credit. It never reuses environments. It's like you're always going somewhere new and seeing something new. Sewer level. Arkham Asylum and Arkham City even did the sewer level, and Arkham Origins also does the obligatory sewer level. I knew I was going to forget something. Luckily, it doesn't outstay its welcome, and it's actually quite short, maybe about 20 minutes, maybe up to 30 or 40 if you're looking for collectibles along the way. But sewer levels, they're in every game. I can't really judge it for that. So, final verdict. What would I score Batman Arkham Origins out of 10? It'd be a very strong 7 out of 10, an 8 out of 10 if you're a Batman fan. It's still a strong and very, very worthy addition to the Arkham franchise, but unfortunately it's just not as strong as Arkham Asylum or Arkham City, but it's still a damn good game. I had to mark it down because of the crashes that were in, being going black, and for the glitches that were occurring, and the camera just not being strong, and the bosses being underutilized. And the story just not being as strong as the previous two games. I said, once you've reached the second act of the game, it's already revealed everything, and you're just fighting to the end, and that's pretty much it, with very little in the way to keep you going. With plot twists, and a bit more explanation of what's going on with events. Side missions. I knew I'd forgot something. Side missions are back. There's the whole new Detective Vision one. There's the Crimes in Progress, which added to the game. Made you feel a bit more like Batman with the Crimes in Progress. You could swoop in and save the day. That's what Batman does. But sometimes when you just wanted to get to an area and a crime in progress cropped up, it did feel like a bit of a pain in the ass to be going and stopping it, but you can choose to ignore it if you so wish to. There's the collectibles return. They're not the Riddler trophies, but they do come in a similar form to 2 Riddler trophies as the certain collectible which is just distributed throughout the city, and also the some of the side missions take the form of collect so many of a certain item, destroy so many of a certain item, and some are actually tied into the assassins themselves as well, which actually makes those side missions that little bit more enjoyable. So I've actually absolutely covered everything. I'm probably going to still forget something, but yeah, that's my final verdict. A 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 if you're a Batman fan. Still a very strong entry into the Arkham series. My personal favourite Arkham game is Arkham Asylum. I like that one more than City. I know it's probably a bit controversial to a lot of people because City was so damn good, but I don't know, there's just something about Asylum that I just love that little bit more. I guess it's the cramped interior locations where it does feel like Batman is being pinned down. He doesn't have the rooftops to escape up onto. If he gets into trouble, he's got to fight his way out of it. That's my own personal opinion on which is my favourite Arkham game. So that's been everything. My first full review where I've not forgotten anything at all. So I've been N7 Strider, and I should go.